How does UA differ depending on an app's monetization model? For example, ad revenue versus in-app purchase versus a subscription model. Do you see differences in the best suited UA approach depending on the monetization model?
That's a really good question. I mean, there's always like these little edge cases, but I mean, I think from the very top level, it's obviously going to matter what kind of appropriate benchmarks when it comes to creative performance or how different kind of channels do. I know especially for networks, they may have different kind of apps in their system that perform differently based upon the genre that may kind of influence where one kind of approaches this. And also, I think kind of whether one has a very broad or very narrow audience, and especially depending on the different payment monetization models, obviously the payback window is going to differ quite a lot between each. And it asks the question, what the appropriate window to sort of form strategies around. I'm typically ads-driven games. I don't have too much kind of experience in them, but by and large, they have very short windows, and they also require a large scale to sort of be able to be profitable. So typically, there's a much broader approach, a much broader appeal, both in UA and in the game design in general. Whereas for games that rely on IAPs, I think something special that they should keep in mind is just how whale-driven the model is, and either to sort of increase the scale to be able to find more, or to be able to sort of try to mitigate these spikes and not to mislead the strategy. As for subscriptions, that's particularly tricky, but I think this is something that really, really benefits from close working relationship between the UA departments and the other kind of key stakeholders in the company, because you go in and you see an app asking you for a 6-month subscription. A lot of people are naturally going to be turned off, but there are things that one can sort of do to try to firstly understand the sign up flow, the messaging, the incentive for why one would subscribe or not. And for one thing, UA can sort of fine-tune the strategy of the audiences or even the creatives to have as neat and as a clean kind of experience in that regard.